We're excited to have Christina Richards of the Greater Idaho Alzheimer's Association chapter. She's going to be speaking this morning on healthy living for your brain and body. Let me give you a quick bio. Chris Richards joined the Greater Idaho Alzheimer's Association chapter as a community educator in honor of her late father, Dave, who had dementia. Chris served as an advocate for her father and worked with her mother and sister to provide care and support. She also has nearly 30 years of human resources and corporate training experience and currently works as an independent consultant, trainer, and recruiter. Chris and her husband live in Boise and spend much of their time as they can whitewater rafting, camping, and visiting with their 2 adult children. Chris, we welcome you this morning and are excited to have you.
Thank you for having me. This morning, we're talking about healthy living for your brain and body. And the Alzheimer's Association has so many great resources. And so when I was an advocate for my dad, they were our go-to. So when things changed and he passed, I decided the one way to really just honor him was to give back and support the Alzheimer's Association, considering all that we took from them. So great organization and lots of education. And I'll talk at the end just about some of the resources available through the association. Today, we're focusing on healthy living for brain and body, which really is applicable. Oh,
Chris, I was just going to make sure that we, sorry.
that's okay.
I don't know why I've got the background. I want to make sure that we honored the ask that you all had in order to meet the requirements and mission of the Alzheimer's Association. We are asking all of our members to please put their first and last name in the chat with their zip code. That allows the Alzheimer's Association to track their metrics the way they need to for today's event.
Awesome. Thank you so much for keeping us on track with that. Yeah, want the residential zip code to track, just kind of see who is in our presentation so they can track each. So. All right, thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to talk about healthy living for brain and body, which is really research-based data to age well. So it's just healthy living options really can apply to all of us and anyone, whether we're dealing with a dementia diagnosis or not. So it's just small changes for healthier habits. Fits really well with the Hike to Heal, as a matter of fact. So very compatible messages this morning. And so, but we did want to say that if you do have concerns about your memory or someone in your life who possibly is having some memory issues, you can definitely seek out help through the association. And we'll talk more about how to do that later. Or I would recommend that you talk to your physician or the person's physician. So I get a lot of questions around, does this look like dementia? Does this not? And I'm not a doctor. I'm just an HR lady. So, seek out that help if you have some concerns. And sometimes I get the question, well, if there's no cure and there's not a lot of treatment, then why do we care if we have a diagnosis? Well, having a diagnosis really helps you know what you're dealing with so you can plan around that. So, okay, so today we're talking about how to take care of our brains and our bodies and how that is connected. So some of our objectives today is we're going to learn how certain behaviors affect our brains and bodies. We're going to talk about specific strategies around being the healthiest that we can be. And it's broken out into these areas: sleep, smoking, mental health, physical activity, balancing our nutrition, cognitive engagement, and social engagement. So one of the things that research has really supported is that while the brain is the control center of our body, so many other aspects of our health impact our brain. So the cardiovascular link is incredibly strong. So we'll talk quite a bit about cardiovascular health, but also other health issues. So there's over 100 billion nerve cells or neurons that create this giant complicated network in our brain, and we have signals traveling throughout, creating memories, thoughts, and feelings. And we do know that Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia can destroy brain cells, and it's often, most likely it's fatal, and it's a chronic, ongoing condition that we're dealing with. And in this presentation, we'll talk about, where healthy living can help us just be as strong and warding off or dealing with issues with our brain as we can be. So as I mentioned, there's a strong heart-brain connection. So whatever we do to protect our heart can also help us continue to make sure that our brain operates the best that it can. We know that our brain needs oxygen and adequate blood flow to work well. And so the brain receives 20 to 25% of the blood from every heartbeat. So that's kind of an interesting statistic. So let's talk about this question really quick. True or false? There's no quiz. I'm going to give you the answer, and hopefully most of you know, but Alzheimer's is a normal part of aging. True or false? And if you're on camera and you want to show me a thumbs up or a thumbs down for what you think, is Alzheimer's a normal part of aging? Awesome. I see a lot of thumbs down. That's correct. It's not a normal part of aging. So Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia are not normal. There are some cognitive decline
meetings going on this morning.
aspects that do impact our memory, and do impact, create part of our aging issues as we get older. But dementia is not part of that normal part, and it is a general term. So dementia is an umbrella term. So dementia is the overall umbrella, and then underneath dementia are the different types of dementia. So Alzheimer's is a type of dementia. It's the most common kind. My dad had Lewy body dementia, which Robin Williams also struggled with. And so there's different types of dementia. So it is a general term that describes when we're having problems with thinking and memory. And dementia is definitely differentiated by it continues to decline and problems continue to increase, but it's where they're severe enough to really interfere with our daily life. So a lot of us we'll talk a little bit later about just normal cognitive decline or things every day, like where did we put our car keys, or, what was that thing that I was supposed to do today? So some of that's normal. It's not necessarily a precursor or a warning sign of dementia. And things that are really impactful, like you forget how to draw like a route to somewhere, or something that you used to be able to do very easily becomes much more difficult. That may or may not be something that could cause you concern, and that you might look into whether you are having some memory issues. So as I mentioned, Alzheimer's is the most common cause of dementia. There's currently no cure for Alzheimer's. However, there are some new drug and non-drug options that may help with symptoms, and have shown some progress and promise in the ability to slow the disease progression. And some healthy behaviors may lower the risk of dementia. So there was a specific medication that was approved in 2023 by the FDA for approval in treating people who have the early stages of dementia. But like I said, there is no cure, but with a diagnosis and with information, it certainly helps us plan and be prepared. So, all right, let's talk about the story of our health. So we do know a lot of this, but our overall health is affected by our genes and family history, our environment, and our lifestyle. So healthy habits are very beneficial for our body and brain, and it's really a complex cocktail of factors that contribute to whether or not we will have dementia, or just how we will age overall. And sometimes the gene pool plays a strong part of that too. So an important part of your health is hopefully getting an annual checkup by your regular physician, maybe a little less frequently for some of us, but hopefully you're going and you're talking to them about your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your weight, and your BMI, and your cholesterol. So it's got a lot of multi-factors involved in taking a look at your numbers and seeing, where you're at health-wise. So talking about our brain a little bit here. So what science tells us is that many factors increase the risk of heart disease and stroke, and those things also are showing to increase the risk of cognitive decline and dementia. I don't know about you all, and maybe it's me because of the things that I look at in the news, but daily there are headlines about do this, lower your risk of dementia. Hey, we're seeing this as a warning sign for dementia. So sometimes it's tricky to sort out what's real, what are scare tactics, what's clickbait. So, but paying attention to what science tells us, we do know that if we're dealing with hypertension, diabetes, or midlife obesity, those are risk factors that impact our cardiovascular health and also our risk of cognitive decline and dementia. So good cholesterol is good for the heart, and what's good for our heart is good for our brain. So another question here, and again, thumbs up or thumbs down. I think that most of you know this, but it's never too early or too late to incorporate healthy habits. True or false? Okay, thumbs up. It is never too late, and also small steps are fine, thankfully, so it doesn't have to be so overwhelming, but you can start with a couple of things added in to be a little more healthy, and those will make a big difference. And so the areas to really think about is getting quality sleep, being smoke-free, taking care of your mental health, get moving, eat healthy, challenge yourself, and stay connected. So all really important things, and we're going to dive into each of these a little bit on their own for some great guidance on just how to be a little bit more. We can't really be dementia proof, but we can be as strong as we can be in aging and aging well. So getting quality sleep, obviously, I think most of us know this, but sleep is essential for overall health and well-being. So important. I feel like the older I get, the more special I am at bedtime. And so it's like I have to have the right room temperature and the right lighting and not too much noise and the snoring and the dog snoring. So it is important, and it is things to think about, but it does impact our overall health. It affects our ability to maintain a healthy blood pressure and blood sugar. And if we're not getting enough sleep, it can cause problems with memory and thinking. So thinking about for yourself, how can you get quality sleep? Hopefully you are, but if you're not, some things to think about is, what's happening in your environment? What changes can you do to create a more peaceful sleep setting? And how can you minimize disruption? So my husband can sleep anywhere at any time, no matter how light it is, what noise is going on. That is not the case for me. So I'm always like, it needs to be darker in here. Do I need a white noise machine? Does it need to be cooler in temperature? So all the things that you need to think about. So some tips to consider: can you control your room temperature or the amount of light that's in there? Can you turn off your screens before bedtime to help wind down before sleep? This one's really tough in the technology connected world that we live in now. And I try to possibly read a book before I go to bed, but that's even on a screen. So I turn the settings down to super low and dark. But if you're on your phone, you're watching TV and you have that light in your face and that stimulation, it's hard to sort of make that transition to sleep time. So, and if you are experiencing frequent sleep problems, definitely talk to your doctor. There are lots of different interventions out there. And I did that about 2 years ago. I was really struggling with sleep and anxiety, and I spoke to my doctor and was able to get a prescription, and it was a non-narcotic. It was a really easy prescription to take that just for a short time really did help me reset my sleep pattern. So I'm much happier with my sleep now. Okay, so let's talk about smoke-free. Smoking has a direct impact on the health of your brain. I'm a non-smoker, so it's real easy for me to say be smoke-free. So I don't want to, just to tell people what to do with their lives. But the science does back up that smoking increases the risk of cognitive decline, and it may increase the risk of dementia. So obviously, not smoking is healthier than smoking, and quitting at any time is helpful to do. And so anyway, but I know that to quit smoking is a major undertaking, and when you consider it, you have to get help and resources in your friend group, maybe from your physician, maybe online or within the community. But just thinking about different options and treatments in a way that you could stop smoking and stay smoke-free. So other tips are find support, talk with your doctor or another healthcare professional. Look for a smoking cessation program or a strategy that works for you. So I know that's very difficult, but it is a really a supportive and helpful health change. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about mental health. So really important. I do think as we are in this post-pandemic, hopefully crossing our fingers world, through this, since 2020, at least, we've definitely had a lot of conversation around mental health and the importance of self-care. And I think those are really positive changes. And we talked about, if you're a caregiver, that it's really important to take care of your own health and your mental health. So where we can pay attention to our own stress levels, any symptoms of anxiety, depression, or other concerns, they definitely affect the health of our brain, and anything we can do to be stronger and more healthy with our mental health is really important. Also, as we get older, our mental health concerns and awareness changes, different stresses on ourselves, and so it's just important to always have a self check and check in with yourself. And so some of the questions that you can ask are, what are things that you enjoy doing? How can you take breaks during your day? And how can you focus on self-care? So I always think that when I talk to my friends and my kids and my family members, I'm always so kind, like take breaks, take care of yourself, watch your stress. But I sometimes forget to have those same conversations with myself. So it's an important reminder to take care of yourself too. So some of the tips for self-care: take a nap, go for a walk, dance, sing a song, bake a treat, read a book, watch a funny video. So anything that can bring some connection, some relaxation, a reset, joy, humor, those things into your life, absolutely do it. And don't hesitate, and absolutely don't feel bad about it at all. It's important. And get moving, obviously very important as well. Physical activity can improve our brain health, even if it's small things. We don't have to go out and become a professional soccer player right off the bat, but we can incorporate small things. So consistent cardiovascular activity will increase the risk of our cognitive decline. It just keeps us healthier, makes us live longer and feel better. Physical activity can directly benefit our brain cells and reduce other risk factors. And for most people, any increase in movement can have a great impact on our overall health. So you might be thinking, what activities do I want to try? How can I build more physical activity into my day? And who can I ask to join me? So it's really easier to exercise with another person, then you get the benefit of the connection. So I'm grateful I have a dog that's pretty active that forces me daily to take her for a walk. So I really do think that helps my motivation. And I try to drag my husband with me whenever I can, because it makes it more fun because we can chat and laugh at the dog together. Tips for getting more physically active. Again, it doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be overwhelming, but just small things. So maybe walking around your neighborhood, taking the stairs more often, getting off the bus stop, a stop earlier. Start small, short amounts can add up. Try something fun for you. Ask the friends, family members, or neighbors to join you. So I recently became semi-retired, yay. And so I added more activities into my life that I enjoyed, hobbies and physical activities. So I have a friend who does aerial yoga. I gave that a try. Not for me, but I did give it a try. Yoga on the ground is great. It doesn't feel as scary to me, but I did go through and definitely trying to always just yeah, I'll try that, because you never know, things that would really speak to us and things that we would enjoy. So I encourage you to say yes to a few things, give it a try. You never know. I mean, things like aerial yoga might be for you. Okay, so let's talk about eating healthy. Obviously, we talk about eating healthy a lot. There's a lot of information out there and different ways that our healthy diet can reduce our risk for many diseases and help our cognitive health and our ability to stave off and fight dementia. So what's good for the heart, also good for the brain. Nutritious food is fuel for our brain. And eating a balanced diet reduces our risk of so many things: heart disease, cancer, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's disease, other forms of dementia, stroke, and diabetes, just so many things. So let's talk about examples of balanced nutrition. So these two diets are pretty reasonable, not too restrictive. The DASH diet and the Mediterranean diet. So both of these, what they have in common is they really focus on fruits and vegetables, nuts, beans, and whole grains, lean meats, fish, and poultry, using healthier fats and limiting sugar and salt. So they're not really complicated. They're not tricky. They generally taste really great. It's just more like trying to concentrate more on those healthy items. So think about, how can I cook differently to make my meals healthier? What healthy foods can I swap in? What new foods am I willing to try? So I had a friend over last night, and she has been committed to making more Mediterranean diet recipes. And so she shared a cookbook with me. And so we made a commitment to kind of help each other continue to try to eat healthier and add more of those types of recipes into our meal planning. So also the tips that include using olive oil or another healthy oil instead of butter. Less salt. So we just know that's healthier. Sodium-free spices or flavorings instead of salt. And then focusing on what you can add in, sort of more fruits and veggies instead of what to take away. So using fruits and veggies to feel more full and to kind of round out our meals so that we're a little bit more immune to the snacking that happens if we're feeling hungry. So building meals around vegetables, beans, whole grains, and choosing leaner cuts of meat. So also, just a note about vitamins and supplements. So unfortunately, the association is aware of, and I'm sure many of you are, that there are a lot of people who are trying to make money off of the scare tactics that they have these vitamins and supplements that can cure dementia or, make sure that you don't get dementia. Well, those two things are not possible at this point. So our research is ongoing. And so I just really want to be careful and warn you of potential false claims, and just focusing on balanced nutrition to promote your healthy brain and body, and also just talk to your healthcare professional about any concerns of nutritional deficiencies that you have. But I do think it's unfortunate that I feel like some folks are preying on the fear that that what happens when you have a loved one or yourself who either has dementia or you're worried about dementia. So I know this happened when my dad was when we were dealing with my dad's dementia, and there were some crazy things that came up, and people would say things like, if you can get your dad to either smoke pot or take edibles, his dementia symptoms will go away. Well, that's just not true. And so I don't want to add to my dad's problems by giving him more things. So that's unfortunate. There's a lot of weird things out there, a lot of misinformation. Okay. Another true or false, challenging your brain might help you lower your risk of cognitive decline. So again, thumbs up or thumbs down. What do you think for challenging our brain? We definitely hear a lot about this. So yeah, lots of thumbs up. So definitely keeping our brain in challenge. Now, sometimes I'm seeing also, maybe you are too, like, buy these puzzles. This is for sure what you need to be doing to engage yourself mentally and stave off dementia. So you don't really need to buy something. You don't need to spend a lot of money, but challenging yourself, challenging your mind, learning new things definitely has benefits for our overall health, our brain health, short and long-term benefits. So cognitive engagement is a term that means just keeping our minds active and challenged. It can be learning new skills, working on a challenging task, or engaging in ongoing learning. So it is something that's challenging. So where we do have to step back and really think about it. So, and it is interesting and difficult sometimes to learn new things. So my husband and I are building a house together right now, and he's very handy, but I'm normally not, and have really never wanted to learn some of the things, but just because it's been a lot of work, I've learned to use all the power tools. So I've learned to use the table saw and a miter saw, and even measuring and cutting things very much out of my comfort zone. And at my age, I'm proud to say I've learned new tricks. And so there can be new things that you can learn, and it is challenging. It does set you back on your heels a little bit. And I think, am I capable of learning how to do this? This seems really hard. I don't want to. So, but keeping our mind active does form new connections among our brain cells. So it does promote that growth, encourages blood flow to our brain. Mentally stimulating activities may possibly maintain or even improve cognition, and engaging in formal education may keep your brain healthy and can provide protection against developing dementia. And now there's such a world of information out there online or in person through maybe community education or online workshops, but just continuing to learn things and kind of stretch ourselves mentally and physically really just is such a benefit to us. So challenge yourself. What new hobbies or skills do you want to learn? What activities sound like a fun challenge? And what topics would I like to learn more about? So about a year ago, I started taking pottery classes, and I'm pretty terrible at pottery, I will be honest, but 6 months in, I decided that was it. I was jumping full in. So I bought myself a kiln and a pottery wheel, and I'm making terrible pottery all the time, but I am getting better. But I really enjoy it, and it does challenge me. I feel like it's a lot to learn, and so I'm like, I'll just learn as I go along. And so I just kind of chunked it like little chunks at a time. Like, okay, I got the wheel. How do I use that? Okay, I have a kiln. How do I use that? And so so much information online available that you can just, and you know what, if it doesn't work, then move on to another activity. Just try different hobbies and see what works for you. So you can take a class at a local college or community center. We have tons of things available in the Treasure Valley. Try a new cooking technique, learn a new language, build a piece of furniture, learn how to play a new strategy game like chess. So I don't know if you all are doing Wordle every day, and Wordle and Quordle and the connections game. So all of those things are fun. Our family has those in a group chat, so we have to share our results every day. So it's a little bit humbling sometimes, but when I get it in 2 guesses, I'm bragging. So those things are good too. They're good and challenging. So all right, so let's talk a little bit about how to stay connected. So this is so critical and can be so easy to not put energy into, but connecting with others socially has so many health benefits, and it really fills up our loving cup, and it just helps us feel mentally strong. So it supports brain health. It's associated with living longer and with fewer disabilities. So it just really impacts our overall happiness. And those who feel well connected tend to make healthier choices in other areas. So it's nice to have a support group. So, really emphasize, how can you stay connected? How could you get involved in your community? And are there any clubs or groups that you would like to join? So many things. Alzheimer's Association, I'm a volunteer. Ways to volunteer for organizations that really have a connection for you, or things that you really enjoy doing. So I enjoy public speaking. So this volunteer opportunity really spoke to me, and then as a way to get back and think about my dad and honor him. So just really feels a good connection for me. So as I said, volunteer for a cause that's important to you. Schedule regular phone calls or video chats to keep in touch. I have some friends who have, like we all do, have family across the US. And so I know some families have a regular, maybe a Sunday night phone call, and they eat their dinners together on their FaceTime. And so they feel connected with their people and seeing their faces. Visit your friends and family, participate in events in your community, and make new friends. So maybe join a hike to heal and make some new friends. And those are friends you already probably have things in common with. So all right, so we can live healthily for our brain and our body, and it's all of these pieces together. And again, small steps can make a big difference. So getting quality sleep, being smoke-free, really paying attention to our mental health, getting ourselves moving, eating healthy, adding in that Mediterranean in our DASH diet, more vegetables, more fruits, challenging ourselves. What can we learn? I like how there's a chess piece there. If you are a successful chess player, I salute you. I've been trying to learn chess, and it's a real challenge for my brain. So I need to keep working on that. Stay connected. So important to stay connected with people. Okay, we're getting towards the end. How the Alzheimer's Association can help. So this number, I give out this number. This is like the #1 thing that I give out in my personal life, in addition to my work as a volunteer for the association, a 24/7 helpline. So you can easily call them anytime, any day, 3 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, 10 o'clock at night on a Friday. You can reach out. There's a master's level clinician at the other end of the phone, and they can help you with anything that you need. So whether you're having a crisis, so maybe you're a caregiver and the person that you're caring for, it's been a long day, and you're just kind of feeling at wit's end, there's someone there to talk to. So a lot of people feel like they don't want to bug their friends and family. They don't know where to go. So you can call the Alzheimer's Association, and they will help you. They will talk you through crisis. They will help you make a decision. They will listen kindly. They will offer resources. So always there to help you. And maybe it's that you have a loved one in another state who is dealing with a dementia diagnosis or possibility of diagnosis, and they need to know where to start, where to go, resources, a checklist. All of it is there at the other end of the phone. Online resources. This was incredibly helpful for my family. So when my dad was diagnosed, never even heard of Lewy body dementia, didn't know what that was. How was it different than Alzheimer's? What do we do? Online resources were super helpful. I'm a checklist person, so it's really helpful. Also, I was advocating for my dad, trying to help my mom. she was in denial. It was very helpful to have checklists. Hey, this is an external checklist of what our family needs to do. We need to do this. So that was really helpful. Everything from estate planning to care facilities to just science-based research on what this dementia looks like. What are some of the things that you can expect? And then also the community resource finder, which some of what I said kind of bleeds over into that area, but the association has partnered with AARP. And so all kinds of resources. So many times you're dealing with this in your family. And even though it is such a common challenge that we are facing across our world, it still feels like, I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. It can be very paralyzing, but you're not alone. And there are all these resources that are available for you. So, okay, I clicked through those pretty quickly in the essence of time. It's a lot of information. Some of it's information that's, we've been exposed to, but I did want to leave some time for any questions or comments.
So Chris, I have a comment in the chat by Charlie Hahn stating, Katie Reed says self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you. So I think you emphasize that beautifully in your presentation. I'm also seeing here, a way to go, Chris, for you trying out your construction with working with all of those tools. And then I'm sure also with your endeavor to be a clay master.
A work in progress.
Exactly. Don Acevedo states musical instruments to be something, really great for what you're looking at. Volunteering for Learn.
Yes.
Leave it to Dawn. I made a note here. I know that pets have played a huge role in my elder families member, as well as other people that I know, clients and whatnot, that just taking care of the mental and emotional help of for them of helping their pets. Taking care of their pets, just that daily, making them walk, making them socialize at a dog park or something with other people has been a real help to the people that I know that have struggled in keeping them going.
Yes, definitely.
Anybody have any questions? Chris, that was just such an amazing presentation. I think you covered so many from A to Z on all of this. I think everyone's like, wow, she covered everything. What questions would we have left? But anybody have anything you'd like to ask her? She's clearly got an amazing program and wealth of knowledge in all areas.
So Chris, with your expertise and your volunteering, if some of us are very well versed in this and know the resources, and depending on our businesses, maybe less so. So are there any, as we're encountering our clients, are there any warning signs that you would encourage us to be watching for? And perhaps what would you suggest we do with that information, right? If in the course of our business working with the senior, what should we be looking for, and what would be a good first step?
That's a great question, and probably one of the most common questions that I do get. And I know from when my dad was showing some signs that it was really difficult. So he was still working and his coworkers were very uncomfortable to say anything and they didn't know what to do. So, and then my mom noticed. And so a few things. And so I think what happens is they're usually, they can be a little more subtle, like whether someone's really struggling with language where they didn't used to, and not just here and there, but like really struggling with language, or like struggling to do something they've normally done fairly easily. So like cook a recipe, drive home from somewhere they've always driven to. Like my dad was super handy and he was supposed to put a new deadbolt on a door and he put 2 handles on and didn't realize there was anything wrong with that. And so my mom thought he was joking. And so she goes, okay, that's great, Dave. And then he didn't understand. He just said, what do you mean? Like he couldn't see the problem. He didn't realize. And so that for her was a huge tip off that something was going on. And then his general demeanor kind of had shifted a little bit, where he had been maybe a little more like stressed out, a little less patient. So, because I think he was trying to cover, some of his struggles to remember things. So, it's hard because it can be subtle, and sometimes it's tricky to know what to say to someone. Like, I think that there's something going on. You seem to be struggling with this that you didn't used to be a struggle before. Maybe we should talk to your doctor or see what's going on. Those are such stressful conversations to have, but they're so important because it might not be dementia. It might be a medication that's causing a problem. There might be an illness the person is having. It could be something different. So there's a lot of reasons to basically, and I feel like I had to have all the tough conversations within my family because I was the HR person, I guess. So I was used to all those awkward conversations with people. But my mom didn't tell my dad. She just made an appointment for him at the doctor. And then in front of him to the doctor said, I'm concerned my husband's having some challenges. I don't know what's going on with him. So he was kind of mad because he felt like he was, caught off guard. So I always think, like, how do you preserve a person's dignity, but also their safety? Like, safety is so important. And so I always lead with safety. Like, the driving, that's such a big safety issue. So I always lead from that, like this could be unsafe for you. I know that you would feel terrible if somebody got hurt, if you got hurt, somebody else got hurt. So, let's talk to your doctor. Let's figure these things out. So for older folks who are on Medicare will pay for an annual like cognitive assessment. And so that can always be sort of a good place to start with someone. Sometimes you might use a therapeutic fib, which is basically saying, I don't think they're going to renew your meds unless we have this assessment. And so, or we need to see the doctor, like it's the doctor's requiring you a visit. We need to have this assessment. So yeah, some of those are kind of tricky, and I'm sort of a rip the Band-Aid off kind of a gal and just have the conversation and lead with what's safe, what's best for the person. But also, trying to be respectful, but also like, you seem to be having some challenges that you didn't have before. Would it be helpful? I'm concerned about you. It'd be really helpful if we can kind of figure out what's going on here.
And I think safety comes in many forms, right? So we often think about physical safety, but looking at the other folks on the line and our other members, financial safety is another big one. Are they being good stewards of their funds and able to manage their finances? And that's one thing that I know some of us online watch for and can sometimes spot and have concerns about.
Right. Right. And it's really difficult to navigate. And when you start to think, oh my gosh, my parent, my spouse, myself, a loved one, someone I know, work with, whatever the situation is, might be having dementia, could be something else going on. Then you start to think about all those things, right? Oh no, they're driving. What about their money? And it's hard not to like worry about everything. And then because my sister and I worked together to help my parents, and my sister would be the bigger picture like freak out, which I don't blame her, but I'm like, okay, baby steps, like we're right here right now, we're going to take care of what's the most immediate concern, safety concern. And then unfortunately sometimes with a family member, if you have parents, like my parents were pretty independent, I was not involved in their business at first, so it was like even my mom was like, stay out of our business. And so I was like, well, your business is becoming my business. So we got to take care of some things. So yeah, awkward conversations for sure. But
Chris, there's a message in the chat again from Charlie Hans. This is just a comment she's making. My sister would write a note for the doctor before her husband was called back. And this was so that he would not get upset about people talking about him. So I guess another way of making communication and sliding into that appointment and situation a little easier.
yeah,
Very
definitely.
difficult for sure.
It's very difficult. I had a woman who came to one of my presentations whose mom was having some issues where she would call and call her and say, your sister's been kidnapped. I mean, just kind of this outrageous story, but to her, it felt really real and she was very stressed out. And so this woman came to my presentation to ask me if I thought it was dementia. And I was like, well, I'm not a medical person, but I would say you definitely need to take care of that because no matter what it is, it's causing your mom and your whole family a lot of stress. And then she was nervous to have the conversation with her mom. mom about it. I'm like, yeah, but your mom is going through all of the stress in this situation that's not happening. And so that's going to overall save her the stress of continuing to struggle. And it might not be dementia, it could be something else, but without knowing, you can't address it.